There was a time when getting a Starbucks felt like a small luxury you could justify, not a splurge, not a guilty indulgence, just a reasonable upgrade to your morning. A few dollars more than the diner coffee, but worth it for the ritual, the consistency, the cup with your name on it, the drink that said, "Today is going to be okay." In 2024, a grande iced caramel latte at Starbucks costs $7.45 before customization. Add oat milk, 80 cents. Add an extra shot, $1. Add the syrup your regular order has always included, 80 cents. The drink that used to feel like an affordable treat now costs $10.05 before tax, and the person behind the counter is spelling your name wrong on a cup that took 18 minutes to arrive because there are 14 mobile orders ahead of you. The line is out the door, the app is glitching, the barista looks exhausted, and you are standing there holding a $10 coffee, wondering when exactly this stopped feeling special. That feeling, the specific erosion of something that used to feel worth it, is not a personal experience. It is a customer satisfaction data point being replicated across millions of Starbucks visits simultaneously, and the company's numbers confirm it. In 2024, Starbucks reported 4 consecutive quarters of declining same-store sales. Global traffic fell. The stock dropped over 20% in a single day after one earnings call. The CEO, who had been brought in to fix things, lasted a matter of months before being replaced by Brian Niccol, poached from Chipotle, a company with its own portion-size controversies, in the most expensive executive hire in the company's history. The world's most recognized coffee brand is in genuine trouble, and the story of how it got there is a masterclass in how a company can destroy the very thing that made it irreplaceable. The Golden Age. Howard Schultz didn't invent Starbucks, he transformed it. The original Starbucks opened in Seattle's Pike Place Market in 1971, selling whole bean coffee and equipment. Schultz joined as director of marketing in 1982, traveled to Milan, walked into an Italian espresso bar, and had an experience that changed American consumer culture permanently. The coffee was fine. What stunned him was the ritual, the barista who knew the regulars, the standing at the counter, the sense that a coffee shop was not a transaction but a moment, a pause in the day that had its own social value entirely separate from the caffeine. Schultz bought the company in 1987 and spent the next decade building that ritual at scale. The language, grande, venti, doppio, was deliberately unfamiliar, creating the sense of initiation into something. The stores were designed with specific acoustics, lighting, and furniture to replicate the feeling of a third place. Not home, not work, but somewhere between that belonged to you. The personalization of orders was the engine. Your drink, your name, your way. In a decade of increasing standardization, Starbucks' sold individuality delivered consistently. By the mid-2000s, Starbucks was opening 7 stores a day globally. By 2007, it had over 15,000 locations in 43 countries, and a market capitalization that made it one of the most valuable restaurant brands on earth. The premium pricing, always higher than a diner, always higher than McDonald's coffee, was not a barrier. It was part of the product. You were not paying $4 for a latte. You were paying $4 for the experience the latte represented. That distinction sounds abstract. It was worth billions of dollars for over 2 decades. The structural flaw. In 2007, Howard Schultz wrote a memo to his leadership team that became one of the most quoted documents in business school history. He called it the commoditization of the Starbucks experience. He warned internally and in writing that the decisions the company had made to drive rapid expansion, automated espresso machines that removed the theater of the handcrafted shot, store designs that had become formulaic, the removal of the coffee grinding smell that had once been a signature sensory experience, had begun to erode the very atmosphere that justified the premium price. The stores, he wrote, were starting to feel like a chain of stores rather than the warm feeling of a neighborhood store. The memo leaked. Schultz was proved right within a year. The 2008 financial crisis hit, and Starbucks, which had always asked customers to pay a premium, discovered how quickly that premium evaporates when household budgets tighten. Same-store sales collapsed. The stock fell over 70% from its peak. Schultz returned as CEO, closed 900 underperforming locations, and rebuilt the operational discipline that the expansion had eroded. He fixed it, temporarily, because the tension he had identified in 2007 between the scale required to satisfy investors and the intimacy required to justify the premium was never actually resolved. It was managed. And managing a structural tension is not the same as solving it. Every year the company grew, the tension grew with it. Every new store opened slightly diluted the scarcity that made any individual Starbucks feel like a destination rather than a commodity. Every automated process introduced to handle volume slightly reduced the craft that justified the price. By 2019, Starbucks had over 30,000 locations globally. The third place, the concept that had defined the brand, was becoming the everywhere place. And the everywhere place, by definition, cannot charge third-place prices indefinitely. The accelerant. Three forces arrived simultaneously between 2021 and 2024 and exposed the structural tension Schultz had identified 15 years earlier. The first was price. Between 2020 and 2024, Starbucks raised menu prices by approximately 25% in the United States, on top of significant increases in the preceding years. The cumulative effect was a standard customized drink crossing, $9 to $10 at the point of sale, a price point that required Starbucks to deliver an experience premium that the operational reality of 2024 could not consistently provide. The second was mobile ordering, which had transformed the in-store experience in ways that proved deeply corrosive to the brand. Mobile orders now account for roughly 30% of Starbucks transactions in the United States. The consequence inside the store was a production queue that routinely overwhelmed baristas during peak hours, creating waits of 15 to 25 minutes for drinks ordered in advance. Longer, in many cases, than simply walking to the counter and ordering. The mobile order promised convenience. The execution delivered a store full of people standing in silence, staring at a pickup shelf, receiving no acknowledgement, experiencing none of the human warmth that Schultz had built the brand around. The third was the customization explosion driven by TikTok. Drinks with 12 modifications, 6 added ingredients, and names that exist nowhere on the official menu became social media content. Each of these orders takes 3 to 5 times as long to produce as a standard drink, generates significant food cost, and puts the same price burden on simple order customers waiting behind them. The barista workforce, already stretched, was now producing drinks of extraordinary complexity at volume, for wages that had not kept pace with either the complexity or the cost of living in the urban markets where most Starbucks locations operate. The result was a workforce invisible crisis. Starbucks had one of the highest employee turnover rates in the retail sector. The unionization effort that began in Buffalo in 2021 spread to over 400 locations within 2 years, the most significant labor organizing movement in the company's history, driven explicitly by understaffing, inconsistent scheduling, and the gap between the brand's public positioning and the working conditions behind the counter. Customers were paying $10 for a drink. Baristas were earning $15 to $17 an hour to produce it in conditions that were, by their own accounts, frequently chaotic. The premium experience that justified the premium price required a workforce and an operational environment that the company's cost structure was not supporting. Same-store sales began declining in late 2023. By mid-2024, the decline was accelerating. Foot traffic among occasional customers, the people who visited once or twice a week rather than daily, was falling measurably. These are the customers most sensitive to the value equation. When the coffee was $5 and the wait was 5 minutes, the equation worked. When the coffee was $10 and the wait was 20 minutes, the same customer started brewing at home or walking to the independent coffee shop 2 doors down that charged $6 and knew their name without being told. The verdict. Brian Nickel arrived at Starbucks in September 2024 with a mandate to fix something that his predecessor had not been given enough time to address, and that the company's structural momentum had been building toward for a decade. His early statements were promising in their honesty. The mobile ordering experience needed to be fixed. The in-store environment needed to recover its warmth. The menu had become too complex. The price increases needed to stop. For the first time in years, Starbucks leadership was publicly acknowledging that the premium required justification the current experience was not providing. Whether the fix is achievable is the question Wall Street is now genuinely uncertain about. Because what Starbucks is attempting is one of the hardest things in business: restoring the premium perception of a brand that has allowed that perception to erode at scale, without the ability to raise prices further in a competitive landscape that has changed permanently around it. The independent coffee shop revival is real and measurable. Dutch Bros, which charges less and has built a cult following around drive-through speed and employee energy, is growing aggressively in Starbucks' core markets. McDonald's, McCafe, and Dunkin' have both taken meaningful share in the value coffee segment that Starbucks used to own by default. Howard Schultz walked into a Milan espresso bar in 1982 and understood something that took American consumer culture decades to fully absorb: that people will pay a premium for ritual, for recognition, for the feeling that their coffee order says something about who they are. That insight built a $100 billion company. The $9 latte didn't kill Starbucks. But it asked the question the brand had been avoiding for years. Is the ritual still there? Is the recognition still there? Is the feeling still worth it? For a growing number of customers standing in a crowded store, staring at a mobile pickup shelf, holding a $10 drink they waited 20 minutes for, the answer is starting to be no.